Well, good morning. And there is an insert in your bulletin, which is the message outline. We are in a series talking about the church as a community of believers. God does not intend for you to live the Christian life in isolation. What matters is you have a spiritual family to encourage you on your journey toward heaven. So we're going to talk about serving as a team. God wants you to make a contribution with your life in serving Him, but the only way you can do that is by serving others, and that's because God cannot be served directly. He is not a physical entity like a human being. Therefore, we serve Him through serving others. It's what the Bible calls ministry. Now, what is ministry? This is the definition I thought of on Thursday. Ministry is serving God through service to other people. Now, a long time ago, when Peter wrote his letter, he did not address it to any specific congregation in a specific town, but rather he wrote it to Christians scattered throughout an area known today as the country of Turkey. And this is what he said to them. God has given each of you a gift from His great variety of spiritual gifts. Use them well to serve one another. So contrary to popular belief, every member of this congregation is a minister, and God doesn't want you to minister in isolation, but with a community of believers. Philippians 2:2, look at this. Make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one heart and purpose. This is talking about you and I working together as a team with one heart and purpose. So there's three important concepts we need to be reminded of in working together. Number one, New Testament Christians are a family. We are a family. It says this in 1 Corinthians 3:9, we work together as partners who belong to God. So God is not just interested in the spiritual service we do. Listen, you can do a lot of things on your own. He's also interested in the relationships we build. So let me say that again. It's not just the service we give Him that He's interested in. It's the relationships we build working together. We are a family. We are a partnership. And then number two is New Testament Christians need each other to be complete. No one person has all of the gifts, all of the abilities, or all of the skills. That's the reason why the church, metaphorically, is compared to a human body. The human body is made up of different parts, and those parts all have to function together for the human body to be complete and what we call healthy. So Romans 12:5 says this, each of us finds our meaning and function as a part of Christ's body. But as a chopped off finger or a cut off toe, we wouldn't amount to much, would we? That's the Message paraphrase. A finger severed from the hand is not going to be able to function. That's the point he's making. For the finger to function or a toe to function, it has to be attached to the hand or to the foot. And then three, New Testament Christians accomplish more together than individually. Now, this is not to say anything negative about individual acts of kindness and goodness and service. Those are very important. But in the big picture, we accomplish more when we work together than when we try to do everything individually or alone. This is Ecclesiastes 4:9. Two are better off than one because they can work more effectively. What this says is that teamwork multiplies effectiveness. A few weeks ago, earlier in this series, we talked about teamwork for a few minutes, and I mentioned the Amish community, and we saw the 2-minute time-lapse YouTube video of the Amish building a barn in 12 hours. Of course, in the YouTube video, everybody's going like this. And the barn's going up, the sides are going up, the beams are going across. It was 12 hours into 2 minutes. The point of the video was that they worked together as a community. No one person did all the work, but every person had a work to do. So there's something you can contribute on at an above average level. This is 1 Corinthians 3:8, and this passage is serving as the basis of the community outreach ministry. It says, the one who plants and the one who waters work as a team, with the same purpose, Yet they will be rewarded individually according to their own hard work. You may have fond memories being a part of a team or a squad. It may have been a dance team, an acting team, a football team, a baseball team, a soccer team, a cheerleading squad, a combat squad. People often go to reunions to be nostalgic and reminded of their team. This is our reunion. You remember back in the 90s? It was our team. So serving together is more than socializing. It is building a spiritual team for the Lord. Now there's a few team building concepts that apply to our congregation. These are very basic concepts. And they apply to other relationships in your life. They would apply to your marriage, to family, school, work. We're going to be using them to focus on Port City. But number one, effective church service requires a team. It really does. Both Jesus and Paul traveled as a team. They did not do ministry alone. Again, they did individual acts of service and goodness and kindness, but generally they worked as a team. Even when the Apostle Paul was put on a boat in chains as a prisoner of the Roman Empire, his fellow Christian Aristarchus was right there with him, Acts 27:2. So even as a prisoner, Paul had a brother traveling with him. In Acts 20 and verse 4, several men were traveling with him, that is with Paul. They were Sopater of Berea, Aristarchus and Secundus, Gaius, Timothy, Tychicus, Trophimus, 7 named people. Paul and Jesus did not serve alone. When the church in Jerusalem was persecuted and scattered, believers traveled together and ministered as a team, according to Acts 11:19 through 21. So the key element of a team is shared responsibility, because no one player wins any football game. Now, I understand there's a guy who sometimes is designated as the player of the game because he had a great play at a critical time. Maybe it was at the end of the game or something, and the game was won because of what this person did. But that wasn't the only play in the entire game. And in the same way, no one person is going to make Port City a success. No one individual is going to make this congregation a success. No one person makes anything a success. As far as, you need a team. You've seen pictures of Mary, I was going to say Mary Teresa. How about Mother Teresa? Mary and Teresa were walking down the street. You've seen pictures of Mother Teresa, and then behind her there's the orphans of Calcutta or whatever. You think Mother Teresa did that all alone? Let me tell you, Mother Teresa had an army of helpers. People were falling over to work with her. Back in the 1980s, there was a ministry. It was a worldwide ministry, one of the bigger religious ministries in the world, out of Baton Rouge, our neighbor over here. They still have a ministry there. It's much smaller now. The guy's name was Jimmy Swaggart. Now, you just take a guy, as far as ability and talent and skills are concerned, he was quite a fella. He could speak well, play multiple instruments well, sing well. You look at him, you think the guy is the total package. What you did not see were the dozens of people on his staff who made all of that possible. A couple of generations ago, you would, Billy Graham crusade, you see Billy Graham in a stadium, maybe 20, 25,000 people, and you're thinking it's all Billy Graham. What you did not see were the dozens of people on his staff and the hundreds of volunteers who worked with him to make it possible. And so our team needs people with certain qualities. I have two. Number one, we need people who are consistent and dependable. Consistent and dependable. Attendance, contribution. And two, we need people who are willing to develop friendships. This is Proverbs 17:17 in the Message paraphrase. It says, friends love through all kinds of weather, and families stick together in all kinds of trouble. I love those words, stick together, because it implies proximity and closeness. And then we need people who are willing to give of their time. Ephesians 5 says, making the most of your time. So we want a strong team. And then two, effective church service requires harmony and sympathy. That's according to the Bible, not according to me. In 1 Peter 3:8 it says, finally, and for the first 7 verses, he's been discussing husbands and wives and taking care of one another, loving one another, and having a good home. So finally, in that discussion, all of you, not just husbands and wives, live in harmony with one another. Watch this. Be sympathetic. You know what is interesting is that you can't have the first without the second. I'm here to tell you, you cannot have harmony in your physical family or church family without sympathy. We can't be an effective team as a church without being aware of what is going on in each other's lives. Because, listen to this, working together does not make you a team. People work together in an office all the time. That doesn't mean they're a team. We're only a team if we are working together and we know what's going on in each other's lives and we are sympathetic toward one another. Now, there's a couple of ways we can build sympathy into a church team or a small group, whatever it might be. Number one is we just need to slow down and be aware. Slow down and be aware. If you were to fly over Pensacola Beach with the Blue Angels in an F-18 going about the speed of sound, we'll say 750 miles, and you decide you're going to look out the window, that is if you're not upside down and thrown up. That's why I wouldn't go up in one. I'll watch you go up in one from the beach. I'm not going up in one. Long time ago, I've gone upside down, twist me around. I would have gone out on a rope on one of the wings. I would have been fine. Do that now, you put me on the swing set and I get sick. And I'll go right out there. I'll take the other. So you're with the Blue Angels. You're 750 miles an hour. You look out the window and you look down. You probably will see a long white strip of beach and next to it an expansive blue body of water. About it. It's all you're going to get at that speed. But if you were to walk along Pensacola Beach, just like this, just going along like this, you're going to see a whole lot more detail. Well, here's the point. Our culture is like an F-18. It is moving so fast that we miss the details of the people we care about the most. And then two is show emotions. Show emotions. This is Romans 12:15. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. So if we will slow down, be aware, show emotions, there will be harmony and effective service at this church. There will continue to be harmony and effective service at this church. Then number 3 is effective church service requires accommodation for differences of opinion. And I cannot tell you how long I spent looking for the word I wanted. Accommodation. I spent over an hour at synonyms.com, which is always open on my computer along with BibleGateway.com. Always have synonyms.com. So I'm plugging in different words. And so accommodation for differences of opinion. You know, just as we are so different on the outside, you know we're just as different on the inside, right? The variety we see on the outside, that variety exists on the inside too. So in 2 Timothy 2, it says, be faithful, loving, and easy to get along with. Worship with people whose hearts are pure. Now, I am not asking if you think you are loving and easy to get along with. I want to know if other people think you're loving and easy to get along with. So how do we accommodate? How do we accommodate for these differences of opinion? Now, you and I are in agreement on Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit and the basics of Christianity. We have beautiful agreement. Beyond that, how do we accommodate each other's differences of opinion? Cultural differences, political differences. And I know we can feel strongly about things. Number 1 is be helpful. Be helpful. It says in Romans 15:2, each of you, each one of us, needs to look after the good of the people around us, asking ourselves, how can I help? Pretty simple, how can I help? 2, be open to other people's ideas. No one person has all knowledge, right? No one has all knowledge. Some of you have a lot of knowledge. No one has all knowledge. It says, I love this, Proverbs 18:15. It's one of my favorite verses in the 18th chapter of Proverbs. It says in the Living Bible, this is great. The intelligent man is always open to new ideas. In fact, he looks for them. You know, in church ministry, there are some needs that can only be met if we team tackle them. And in order to team tackle, we're going to have to be open to each other's ideas and how we can do it most effectively. So in this outreach ministry that we're developing, we had a meeting a few weeks ago, and out of that meeting, 3 major changes were made. That's why there had to be a revision issued. Because no one person has all of the ideas. It is a team effort. And then 3 is we can accommodate each other in our differences of opinion by accepting believers' different gifts. Different gifts. Look at this in Romans 12:6. God in His kindness gave each of us differing gifts. So there's different types of ministries that appeal to different people. Some people, they love the sojourners ministry. Usually it's people who are retired and have sufficient assets that they don't have to work, and they can travel in their airstreams and go from town to town, repairing houses or helping people who need some type of physical help. Beautiful, the sojourners. That appeals to some people. Some of you, the Mexico missions really appeals to you. You love, man, building a house in Mexico and making a difference in people's lives. You love that. Other people have a heart for local ministry. They like things to be involved in things going on in the area where they live. Other people have a heart for administration. They love addressing envelopes, writing letters. And so there are many different gifts in different areas, but it's the same God who is giving these gifts. No one gift is going to accomplish all of God's work. It is us working together. You are important no matter if you are an ear, an eye, or a little toe. Someone said one time, yeah, you can get along a lot easier without your little toe than you can without a brain. Probably. But are you going to tell me your little toe isn't important? Bring it on up here. We'll get a hammer and we'll just get it. You don't start liking your little toe. You don't appreciate those toes until you have problems with them, because they do a lot for human balance on those 5. A lot going on down there on the toes. All right. Then 4 is make allowance for each other's faults. make allowances for each other's faults. I have a scripture for that. And it is Ephesians 4:2. It says, be patient with each other. You know what the root meaning of patient is? You're going to love this. Have a long fuse. That's usually better than a short fuse. Because it comes from a word that means to light up and heat. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Okay, you read it. We all know what it says. A fifth grader can read this. I don't know if I'd be smarter than a fifth grader, but a fifth grader can read this and know exactly what it says. That's what the problem is, not knowing what it says, but applying what it means. How do you do it? By understanding that no one is perfect, and by not expecting everyone to live up to a standard that you can't even keep yourself. See, that's the problem. I'm demanding from you a 10, but I'll hold myself to a 3.5. Now, what is interesting is in accommodating each other's differences, often it doesn't make us weaker, it makes us stronger. And then number 4, the effective church service requires a mission. In order to be a team, we have to have a common mission because teams do not exist for themselves. They exist to reach a goal or accomplish something together. A football team doesn't just exist to be a football team. They exist for one reason, to win. Okay, if a few people can learn about discipline and some other things on the team, fine. But you and I both know why the football teams really exist. To win as many games as possible. So this is Philippians 2:2. Be of the same mind, maintaining the same love, united in spirit, intent on one purpose. We have one overriding purpose or mission called the Great Commission. That's our overriding purpose as a team, to accomplish that. Now, the Great Commission is found in different wording in Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. Matthew's account is good. It says this. Then Jesus came to them and said, so he's back from the dead. Hello, I'm back. All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. So we have 3 responsibilities. Make disciples. We want to help people to move in the direction of Christ. We want to mark disciples. That is, we want to baptize those who believe in Jesus. And we want to mature disciples. We want to teach those who have been baptized. Now, how we carry out this mission is not going to be limited to 1 or 2 ways. There's going to be multiple ways that we can do it. Because people have various talents, various abilities, have heart, passion for different things. So I think it's great that we're doing mission work in Mexico. We're doing mission work in the other Mobile. Great. Together. Now this is Galatians 2:14, and I have to tell you why I chose the Message paraphrase. Paul is rebuking Peter because Peter wasn't wanting to hang out with non-Jews. He was a good Jew. He didn't like the non-Jews. He said, I don't want to be around the Gentiles, man. I'm just hanging out with the Jews. I'm a Jew. I'm hanging out with Jews, not interested in those who aren't Jews. So it had to be a little rebuke going on. But we're looking for the principle of this passage. It says, but when I saw that they were not maintaining a steady, straight course according to the message, according to the gospel, I spoke up to Peter in front of all of them. Now, I underline maintaining, if you will circle that. Anything that has to be maintained does not care for itself. You want to start with a car? Does your car take, this is a rhetorical question, does your car take care of itself? No. That's why there's what is called scheduled maintenance. You have to do maintenance on your car. Why? Because your car doesn't take care of itself. That's why. Now, do you want to go and talk about marriage, or do you want to save that for another message? Think a marriage has to be maintained? What if you just do nothing? Do nothing. Make no contributions, no nothing. You think the marriage is going to maintain itself? Not. It has to be maintained. So you and I have been given this mission that has to be maintained because it's not going to take care of itself, folks. Now, God's power is out there and God's power is available, but God's power, it works through us because we are His hands and His feet and His eyes. So this is Philippians 1:27. It says, you are standing side by side with one strong purpose to tell the good news. I think that summarizes what we want to do as a team. So I would like to conclude just sharing something with you. When you look at the size of our community, which I am calling from Pascagoula in the west to Orange Beach in the east, I'm referring to that as our community, Jackson County, Mississippi, Mobile, Baldwin counties, approximately 750,000 people, 750,000 people. When you look at the size of our community and the size of our congregation, you can't help but to wonder how in the world can we make a difference. Here's my... There is incredible power in a team. A long time ago, there was a group of people who decided to get together, form a team, and build a big, giant tower. But it's not what God wanted. He didn't want a tower built. But the only way that God could stop the power of a team was to confuse their language so that they wouldn't understand each other and scatter across the face of the earth and bring fruit, fall, and multiply. Now think about that. The Creator, God, the most powerful entity, to break up this team had to do something so radical as confusing their language so they couldn't talk with each other. That's the only way you could break the team up. So God makes this statement about the power of a team. It is so powerful. Well, we know it, by the way, as the Tower of Babel, right? This is Genesis 11:6. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, watch it, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Now, I understand he's using some hyperbole, exaggerating a little bit, but the point is well taken. There is power in a team. There is power in this team because we have everything, we have all these things that we discussed. We have it going right here. We do. We have the love, we have the unity, we have the dedication, we have the commitment. Sure, we're flawed and nobody is perfect, but overall, we have the team, folks. And I believe that we can make a significant difference in the lives of many people who are looking for spiritual truth. So I would like for you, this is my assignment, every now and then I give an assignment. This is my assignment. I would like for you to think about the principle of Genesis 11:6. Not so much the historical setting, but bring it out and let's make an application of it to our lives today. There is power in the Port City team. And we believe the God of the universe is working with us. That's even more powerful. David is going to lead us in an invitation hymn. And if you have a particular need, perhaps putting Christ on in baptism, we can assist you and help you in some way. Please let us know while we stand and sing.